The red hand. So, here's the deal. I met my wife at work. I was a cop and she was a dispatcher. She'd just come out of a divorce and I had been divorced for a very long time. She and I hit it off really well. We both love dogs a lot more than we like people sometimes, and it seemed like my inner demons played well with hers. 5 years later she is sleeping with someone she works with, different job, after all we have been through together. My dad passed, her brother and cousin all passed during our marriage. There were other challenges too, and I haven't always been the best husband. I never lied or cheated, though. I have been unreliable, made mistakes, but I recognized that and worked harder to fix these. I could handle the kitchen as well as her. I took care of laundry when she needed it, stood by her when she faced things that terrified her. I don't know what I am trying to ask, except will the pain ever stop? Will things get better, because right now it all looks like the inside of a septic tank. I mean, I know in my head that things will get better, but I don't feel it. Makes sense. We have separate accounts, but we live under the same roof. She is moving in with her duck buddy after the divorce is final. Oh, they managed to show their bottoms at work. The big dogs know all about it. I try not to interact with her, but that hurts too. I keep hoping and praying that I will wake up and she will tell me it was a terrible night terror. In the process of getting the divorce, I honestly didn't want this. I wanted to reconcile and fall in love with each other again. I guess the reason for divorce is she screwed around and then filed for divorce as the shiny new wore off. At this point I would rather take my dog and go live in a cabin in the woods, or tend a lighthouse if they weren't automated, or anything else other than date. I do not want to go back out there. My last divorce was a long time ago and I pushed for it. I was not grown up enough to be married. In this case she downloaded the forms and started the process 7 months after we got married, right after the honeymoon period wore off. I will own my mistakes, but for the love of Bob, 7 freaking months. My first marriage, I sabotaged, but she wasn't any good, either. Neither of us were. The second one, engaged, broken off, hurt so much and I got really self-destructive. She threw me over for another guy. This time, she wanted to screw around. I accepted, but since have rejected blame for not making her feel loved and wanted. BS, she wanted to screw and I wasn't available. Third strike, I give up. Chicken Ranch in Nevada, here I come. So, my D-Day is May. I still reside with my STBX simply because A, my name is on the lease, and B, we have our children together. They are 3 dogs that we absolutely love and the feeling is very mutual. In fact, the only things she and I can agree on anymore are people suck, dogs rule, let the revolution begin. And I don't care who the monster X in the movie The Dog Better Live. You may think this a foolish reason, but I actually do value dogs more than most humans I've met. So, for those of you who do not know my story, here is a brief synopsis. Met the woman who I thought was the great love of my life. We got married after my family fell in love with her and her with them. She had loved me, taught me things about myself, and helped me get through childhood ex-abuse. I thought that we loved each other and was accepting of each other's flaws. She met someone at work she initially hated, but they have, in the past 4 months, after working together for years, became duck buddies. We had been through some times of arguing and preparing to divorce. I didn't see the oncoming crap storm, even though she had prepared divorce papers only 7 months after we married. So, we are separated and the divorce is final on Tuesday. Now, the funny thing is she was going to move in with this turd. A man who should have been given the Nobel Prize for serial philandering. He cheated on his wife with a mistress, who he cheated on with the woman, the girlfriend, who was promoted and gave my wife the opening at her workplace. He divorced his wife to be with his mistress after dumping his girlfriend, and the mistress dumped him. He remarried his wife and later started messing with mine. He then dumped my wife to reconcile with his wife, who he was planning to divorce again. So, there you have it. If anyone can come up with a more messed up story, be my guest. Funny thing is, the other day she got mad at me for responding to her news. Tuesday was the day that we got our court date. Now, I work nights and attend school. I got up to attend an e-seminar on Thursday. That is when she told me the final hearing was this Tuesday. She got mad when I replied that it didn't leave me much time to find a place to live. She acted all but hurt because I was looking to move away. She really didn't like it when I told her this was the house I live in, but it was not my home. She didn't get that the day she spread her legs for someone else, my home with her ceased to be. It seems she still wants my income, but just not me. On the first go around with this turd, she was planning to move in with him before he dumped her. She was expecting me to stay in our house and take care of things. The house she decorated. The house with all of the pictures she hung. Seriously, the house that is all her. I may be getting over her, but I am not willing to sit around and be morbidly reminded of what we had. And, last night, Friday, she left a note telling me she wasn't going to be home. Her former P told her that his daughter had been in a car crash and his wife was going to Florida to check on her. Doing the math, these two scumbags were planning to hook up over the weekend. So, the date is in a couple of days and then I will be rid of her. When she returns from her copulation time with the turd, I will tell her that if she moves in with him again, she needs to make arrangements for the house because I am no longer her chump. I am so tired of people. The epiphany is that I don't want her, really don't need her. I am going to be okay through all of this. Comments. Hope your D-Day went smooth. There will still be rough days, but hopefully they don't outnumber the good. It takes time to heal and find your center again. Do just that, and take your time doing it. Keep moving forward. You are doing a great job. Do not take her actions to heart. She has to figure her life out. I know it is hard knowing all this. Do your best to step away from the drama and look back at her as a stranger you don't really know. Story 2. Details. Married to my high school sweetheart for 24 years. No substance, adultery, or any other type of abuse. We have 2 kids, the youngest 14. We have been close with little arguments over the years regarding finances, parenting, etc. It seems that we have always worked as a team. I was a stay-at-home mom for 14 years. During that time, I have also earned my degree and now working on a career. Neither one of us has suffered from jealousy or being too dependent upon each other. In other words, we give each other space to do things. Sounds great. Problems. About 1 year ago, I suffered from depression for several years. I reevaluated my life, lost weight, searched for a reason, but was generally unhappy. My husband tried to make it better. He is always a happy person. For 99% of his life, at least it appeared that way. I questioned, during my depression time, how can you be so happy? We have nothing in common. You'd be better off without me, etc. I questioned his emotions as being superficial. I have never seen him cry and he's never been extremely angry with me. Present. Last spring, our son got into trouble with the law. It was very stressful. The fall. The stock market crashed and my husband is in finance. Around that time, he pulled away from me and became angry and stressed, of course. I had never seen him this way and questioned him. Months later, he mentioned how he was no longer attracted to me, no longer in love with me but loved me. I am his best friend. I suggested counseling. He couldn't communicate with me. In fact, I've come to realize that he sucks at communication. He is currently in individual counseling. In Jan, we began couples counseling. It came out in Feb that he wants a divorce but doesn't know how or when. He felt he tried to make the marriage work. I feel that he never told me he was unhappy and needed change. However, I was so enmeshed in my depression, I couldn't see things clearly. I still want to try. Our focus in our couples sessions now is focus on the divorce, how it's going to be for kids, finances, living situations, etc. We still are doing everything we always have with kids, family, sleeping arrangements. However, there is a disconnect. I decided in Jan to live my life as a happy person. The depression has lifted. Would he rather stay with a happy wife or depressed one? I ask. All bonding since October has been initiated by me, but there is still a disconnect there as well. I've told him that I would still like to sleep together since we are married, etc. This morning he's initiated bonding, with some talk about wanting bonding but still being divorced later. Question. Do you think I am fooling myself? Overanalyzing the marriage, looking for positive signs? Or is he just guilt-ridden, doesn't know how to leave, or looking for the right time? Should I leave things for a while, being as happy as I can? He's not making a move, divorce-wise. However, I feel like I am limbo. Sometimes, I get so angry that I feel like initiating the separation. Maybe, then he will want to work on the marriage or it will scare him over the fence and we will be done. He'd call it quits this week on the couples counseling. My individual counselor called it my emotional abuse. Being that I don't want a divorce, he says he does, but is doing nothing but talking about it. No date, no changes. You are right on. I have thought about the divorce and almost mentioned to him about me leaving in a few months. I am at the point where I want to take action and not be the sitting duck. In fact, all of his time is accountable and nothing schedule-wise has changed. He is even kind of cuddly in bed when we are sleeping. What the heck? I even asked him if he were gay. Why not? I really don't have any suspicious vibes regarding his straying. So, in the meantime, I have an important exam coming up on Friday. Hopefully, I can pass. Then, I will probably bring up the divorce after that. I don't want to fan the flames, but I don't want to be in limbo for a year. Now, he states he wanted a divorce and was generally unhappy. I've been nice and kind, not desperate. I did state that I did not want a divorce and he'd have to proceed. Over the last several months, I have been in limbo, not knowing when he was going to let the axe fall on our marriage. Everything in our marriage is the same. Schedules, time with family and kids, activities. However, we have been disconnected for 8 months. This weekend, I could take no more. I told him that he was so unhappy and angry looking. I was worried for him. I told him that if I have to start proceeding with the divorce, then I would do it, even though I told him before that it was on his hands. I would like to be out by Aug 1st. I cried all day, on and off. We felt lousy and we even attempted to have sleep together. It was very emotional. We are touchier than ever in bed. Spooning, arm over each other, etc. was never our thing in bed. Now, it's like we are looking for comfort. Sunday, next day, he is Mr. Happy. I have relieved him of the pressure cooker environment of proceeding with the divorce. Or he's flaking out on me. I don't know what to think. He is so afraid of hurting me or the kids, he doesn't tell me what he's thinking for the most part. Am I fooling myself, thinking he's having a change of mind? I said 8 months ago. That was when he said I love you, but I am no longer I love with you. However, we both went through a crisis with our son about 1 year ago. Our household was stressed since then due to the crisis. Not much relationship stuff happening. Then 8 months ago things began the unraveling. The time the stock market began its crash, my husband's in the financial business. It was highly stressful on him. I remained supportive and suggested counseling. He began in November, thankfully. In Jan, we began couples counseling. My intent was to work on the marriage and get it right. A month later, his intent was to get a divorce. From then on, couples counseling revolved around how a divorce might look, what the setup might be, how my daughter and son will be affected, etc. That would have been okay. However, we only talked regarding our relationship during the session. He never gave me a time frame, a plan, etc. I was in limbo. Had the pained look on his face and negative comments, "You must hate me, I am sorry, I love you." It was too much. A few weeks ago, I said I was no longer attending couples counseling. I ain't counselor and I feel like it's emotional abuse. Waiting for the axe to fall and living in his darkness at the same time. What's the point? I began to move the ball. I just couldn't handle his demeanor, sadness, and lack of trying. That is what led to my discussion last Saturday. We both love each other dearly. I know he loves me. That is the sad thing. He is 45 and I'm 43. I've asked what he wants from our relationship. He is so emotionally stunted and can't even pinpoint what he wants or even begin to explore that avenue or even talk to me about it. He is desperately afraid of hurting me and our children. I've pointed things out to him along the way. He listens and thinks. He never has much of a response. Emotionally stunted is a good word. It's funny, he was emotionally stunted in a different way, always happy. Now, it's different. He states that he wants to be alone. My question is, how do you see yourself in the future? He's alone and doesn't see much. He bikes, road race, and works. It doesn't sound much to run to being alone. I'm not sure if it's life or marriage or midlife crisis. My hunch is that he's reevaluating his life, as I have years before during my depression. He's reevaluating and figures that he'd be happier alone. After 24 years of marriage, we've had a pretty smooth ride. We are both good, loyal, honest people that love our children. We have never been fighters looking for drama. Always a team until now. My depression wasn't a terrific thing to live through, either one of us. Perhaps our focus wasn't always on the marriage but the family. That isn't so unusual. I am so tired of overanalyzing my marriage. I just want to fix it and move on. I hate dwelling. However, once we were in marriage counseling, it turned from working on the marriage to how to prepare for a divorce. He just didn't see a future. In the meantime, I told him it's your divorce, your idea, and you will have to follow through. Well, Mother's Day weekend, I would take no more and told him that I still didn't want the divorce, but I couldn't be in limbo. I couldn't watch the pain in his face every day. I still love him and he loves me. However, I am the one moving out once we tell the kids and give them time to digest it. June, I still pray that he will come to his senses, but I can't live my life with a person that won't communicate or work on the marriage. I can't live with a person in pain who won't do something about it. He told me he wanted a divorce but didn't know how or when. What was I supposed to do? Wait for the axe to fall? Wait for one of us to have an affair down the line because we are lonely? I don't know. I still have questions myself. Few months later, I went on a trip to Chicago for a week and had time to think and accepted some advice from my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. I decided to come home and tell him that I wasn't moving out after all and told him my reasons. After a week or more, nothing has changed. He still wants to move forward to the divorce. Now, I am back, in my mind, to thinking that I can't endure the negative relationship anymore. I am getting beaten up, in my mind. Actually, we never fight and still love each other. It's that he states that he's 100% sure that he wants a divorce and is unhappy. He a very good guy, but I feel depressed. I want to stick by our marriage, but nothing has changed since October. Should I continue to stay until he makes his move toward divorcing, seeking housing, meeting with attorney, or should I make my own move and give him what he wants on my terms? I am so torn because I don't feel it's the marriage that is bothering him, but I can't convince him otherwise. However, if I make the moves, it's like I am throwing in the towel. It seems that I am stuck and waffling between hanging in there and making my own move. What to do if he comes to leaving? I want to be the one that leaves. I don't want the house. I'd rather have the cash. Plus, the memories for me would be too much, alone. I've told him this. I am hopeful that he will have a light bulb moment. Something will put the spark of doubt in his mind. However, he says that he is sure. I've told him that I want him to stay with me to let time pass and pursue our marriage. I've told him that I think it not just the marriage that has him depressed, it's something else. He's still sure that he wants this divorce. I feel that I am taking a big risk if I kick him out and he doesn't get the wake-up call. On the other hand, nothing else has worked. I keep on thinking, maybe if I give it more time. However, it's been since October. I am one big waffle. It is so hard when you love someone. Update, he moved out this morning as we have decided to separate. Actually, it was my idea as he was racing toward the divorce. He hadn't thought of a separation until I brought it up. I've set the ground rules of our separation with his help. It seems that he wanted more contact. I want to let him feel like a real divorce is. Now that he is out of the house, he will be left to wonder. I wonder what she is doing. This is what I want. I am doing the chasing no more. This is not easy. It has been 11 days. I don't call or have any contact with him unless I have to. Kids, mutual business. So far, I had no reason to contact him. Our boundaries, rules were set up before he moved out. No dating other, no unnecessary contact, no big purchases without each other knowing. He called briefly a few days after moving. He lost something. He called last Sunday to make arrangement for picking up our daughter after church. He asked us to lunch after church. At first I hesitated and said okay. I later texted him that I couldn't go and I had plans. This is part of the tough love. He fought so hard to leave. I am giving him a taste of the grass is greener. He doesn't get to eat as a family when he is divorced. Boy, does this suck. It goes against what is natural for our relationship. I am looking for some support during this time. We have agreed to meet in a month after the moved out to reevaluate the situation. Are we to stay as is or divorce or reconcile? I feel like a crazy person sometimes. I have to plan for this meeting in 2 weeks, almost to prepare myself for the worst, divorce. I don't want to fall apart in front of him. My goal for this separation would be him wanting to reconcile and work on the marriage. I don't want him to enter back into the household without wanting to work, 100%. So, I even need to prepare myself for that. Wanting to come home because of loneliness, etc. I am doing a lot of praying. I pray that I will follow God's plan for me in this relationship. A month later, nothing in particular has happened today with my H and I. We are still separated for 6 weeks. I pretty much have little contact with him as that was my boundary setting agreement. What little contact that I do have is nice and friendly. I am the one wanting to save the marriage. He is the one that saw the grass is greener. Today, for the first time since our separation, I am having a crying spree. I can't quit crying. It comes and goes, but I am hoping this is out of my system before I need to go get my daughter. I feel so sad that there is no end in sight. We aren't working on our marriage as I am giving him the opportunity to feel what's like to be divorced, minus the dating others. I can't imagine going another 6 weeks. I can't but help think about the holidays and not being here as a family. I don't know if I can make it till then without breaking it off with him on my own. I wrote him a letter today that I won't give him. I didn't know what I was going to say. It ended up being a goodbye letter. Will I ever see a breakthrough? Something. Anything. I know. No answers here. I wish I could grab onto something positive. I am afraid I won't be strong enough to endure another 6 weeks. I am afraid I will call it off and suggest moving on. I don't want this, but it's too painful. My husband emailed me this afternoon to meet. He can only meet after Tuesday. I ended up seeing him this evening as my daughter had to pick up something she forgot. I told him morning or evening. I am so afraid that this is the time that he's going to announce moving forward with the divorce. I know he's still in pain and not doing well. I know that he hasn't given me any hints or signs of wanting to reconnect. So, Wednesday, I am going to know how my life is going to be laid out, at least for the next several months if he wants to continue the separation. It's like waiting for death to come. I told him to pick the time and place to meet. If he wants to meet at a restaurant, then he won't drop the D word. In over 8 weeks, I haven't said a word about the relationship. That would have been considered a pursuing behavior. He has been depressed and in pain since before the separation. He's a good man, just lost. He thinks the grass is greener. He doesn't want to hurt me. During the separation, it was my job to give him the grass is greener and feel the pain of what a divorce would look like. I believe he's been feeling the pain. You can see it, and family and friends have noticed it. Out of the blue, I get an email asking me when is a good time to meet next week. During this whole time, I've been friendly and happy towards him, letting him go. I told him a few days ago on the phone, if you need anything, you know I'm here for you. I just felt his pain and reached out, kind of non-LMBT. But I went with my gut. He stopped by last night to pick up something that my D left. She was staying with him. I mentioned that I got the email and what AM or evening would be okay. I told him to pick the time and the place. I have not slept all night. I feel like he's going to say on wed. Why wait, let's just get this over with and divorce. It's like I am waiting for death to come on wed. I know my marriage is going to die on wed. I know I'm not psychic and can't guess what he's going to say, but this is my predominant feeling. 5 days to wait. This is some of the other things I am thinking. 1. If he wants to meet in public, restaurant, he probably won't drop the D word there. He's super sensitive to my feelings. So, if he chooses a public place, then he may not be wanting a D as of now. 2. Last night, at the house, he mentioned if it would be okay to invest some of the cash we had on the sidelines, as it was doing nothing sitting in the account. I said yes, and he explained the investment. Why would he want to invest if he was going to split up? However, we wouldn't be divorced for a couple months, and my H looks at a few months' interest as worthwhile. 3. Maybe he just wants to meet. Although, I doubt it, as talking about our relationship is like pulling teeth. He has never initiated relationship talk ever. He is also emotionally unavailable and had a hard time expressing himself out of fear, guilt divided by etc. So, now I have to wait. I hope, at the very least, he'll let me know the time, place. That will give me an idea. I will be devastated that he still wants out. I feel like I will always have hope, even if we divorce. I've known and loved him since I was 14. I am planning for the worst. In fact, I already have my plans in place back when the divorce was on the table. Of course, we stepped back to separation. Prayer is constantly a part of me. I fall asleep praying and wake up praying. I pray in the car. I pray before bed. I joked to a friend and said God must hear me praying and say again. Not really, but it was getting a bit much. The good news is this crisis has drawn me closer to God. I have the 3 scenarios played out in my mind and my answers to them. I pretty much had them laid out all along. I am a thinker and planner. My interview went very well. It will be a few weeks until I find out. In the meantime, I'll still be looking. And by the way, I didn't break down afterwards as planned. I am really happy outside my relationship woes. I am having some fun in my life and feel overall positive. I've been doing individual counseling for about 4 months, every other week. I am a pretty fulfilled girl. I've taken my own advice and gone on with it. I've been playing the game. Not a nasty game, just a game. You move this way, I move that way. I don't have much left in me. It's exhausting to wait on someone that clearly isn't ready to reconcile. I will sit back with open ears and open mind. He's not much of a relationship talker. We'll see. We met this morning. He wants to proceed with the divorce. I shook my head. I asked him for permission to date. He said okay. His body language changed, foot shaking, eye contact, mouth. He wasn't prepared for this. It's not like me. I hope this bring up feelings for him. Perhaps not. He may date as well. I don't care anymore. It's a lost cause. So sad but doing okay. He had already been to the attorney this week and gave me the order of petition to divorce. The grounds, discord or conflict of personalities. This mean that we didn't have anything in common and he wasn't having fun. What a superficial as. The in common thing gets me as it takes 2 to do things. He wouldn't try anything different this last year. The thing that I really know is he will find someone within a year to have fun with relationship or bonding. Once it gets deeper, it won't last. He will have a hard time finding someone that compares to me. I am serious and not big-headed. He has a long history and children and good times with me. He also had a patient, kind, understanding, good mom, wife, intelligent, friendly, attractive woman. I'm not jealous and I didn't restrict his activities in the least. I know there are good people out there, but the odds of getting someone with the package, at this point, are rare. He may get a fun, cute woman but she may be lacking in something. Jealous streak, money hungry, dingy, needy. I want to see his grass is greener. It saddens me this whole process. I've been changing all along since my depression, several years ago. I wasn't really changing for him but for me all along. I went back to school, received counseling, finished an internship and began focusing on myself for the first time since marriage, 24 years. I had been too family focused and didn't allow myself to have dreams or hopes. Part of that was my lousy childhood and determination to make things better for my kids. Recently, I've made new friends. I've done activities that I enjoy without asking. I became more career focused, goals and a plan. I also became happy. Today, my H dropped off my D's stuff after a weekend trip together. He has been sick with a cold, sore throat, usually a big baby. He come into the kitchen. The house is alive. My son is watching a movie and eating. My D is playing with her animals. The dogs greet him and love on him. I am happy. My D is happy. My son is happy. The dogs are happy. He chit-chats while standing in the kitchen. How his computer doesn't work and he may have to go to the coffee shop to log on. I don't offer my computer. He stands watching the movie that my son's watching. He doesn't want to leave. More chit-chat and watching the movie. I look good and I am so friendly. I offer him food to take home. He ends up leaving, sick and alone to his empty condo. My family man no longer has his family, not like it used to be. Bit by bit reality is showing up. I suspect he will return after the divorce. Maybe after he has his fun. I can read him like the back of my hand. Half a year later, I'll forever have a connection with him. We have a history of youth, adolescence, adulthood, children, and many firsts. He will never have the same history with anyone else. He's a good man, a person that you would like to meet. He just didn't want me anymore. I realize, in my head, that most of the issues were related to some midlife crisis or depression. However, there is nothing for me to do. I can't fix him. I pray that he fixes himself. My new journey begins. I am a blessed girl, someone who has been through the fire and continues moving forward with a new life. God has been present in my life and will continue to be my guidance. I have much learning to do. My first full day of officially single is today. My heart, at this point, is still married. Yesterday was interesting and truly showed my H's lack of coping skills and anger. He was trying to get the money to me. Should be easy wire it or hand me a check. In order to take care of me, he ends up going to 4 banks and very frustrated as he wasn't getting his way on certain matters. Ones that I didn't care about now or never requested that he take care. At the end of the conversation, made from the bank, he says they are lucky that I don't have a ex. Wow, I calmly told him to calm down. I appreciate you help. You started saying things like that in a bank and you are going to be arrested. Hands up the bank priest of another branch calls him and apologizes. She heard about his fit in another branch. It's also a client of his. She is willing to push through whatever he wants but needs my approval. I called her and explained that he wasn't appropriate and I was going to stick to how they normally did things. I thanked her. He's an angry guy. My H, the man I knew, wasn't like this. The old H, the man of the last 1.5 years, is so angry, my friend said. My H was probably angry before that time, but it was kept inside. I agree. Part of my process, over time, is to heal. I wake up in a strange world alone. It will take some getting used to this singleton. 2 years later, I spent 2 years analyzing and kept coming up with the same conclusions. I didn't know why he didn't want to invest in our relationship anymore. We both made mistakes. At one point, I asked him, I don't get it. You don't want to fix this relationship or deal with your issues, but you want to go into another relationship eventually. Perhaps get married and not work on that one either when things go south. He said, if it happens, it happens. He remarried a few months ago. I pray that it works out in the long run for him and her. Like I said, I hold no grudges. His new wife will never know him like I do. This is not being a B. I am the only person that he will have gone through his teens, young adulthood, birth of children, raising teens, being dirt poor to being well off, etc. I am a luck girl to have met him. He did a lot for me and my family. I did a lot for him. We are forever bonded. Just writing this brings a tear to my eyes. I can't help but wish him well. He's an old friend. I have such a wonderful fiancé. He is very different than my ex, but still have very strong morals and is a good character. I hope this new relationship develops the strong bonds that I have formed with my ex. It all takes time. Our lives will be different. I won't have children with my new man. We are set in our careers. What do I have to look forward? Travel. No rearing kids from the ground up, kid stress. Okay, I still have that with my young adults, but the ability to travel and communicate with a person that I enjoy and listens to me. Also, we all have experience and wisdom. I know what doesn't work. I am more patient with age and I have more confidence. 3 years later, even though I know I have been struggling in our marriage due to his work hours, self-centered tendencies, relapse 2 years ago, chronic migraines which left him not working for 3 months, lack of partnership, he has always confirmed how great he was, how much he loved me, how I was an answer to his prayers, how he was grateful that I have stood by him. These expressions were on my voicemail 6 weeks ago at my counseling session, in which he attended, prior to our vacation, and to his family. It was no secret how much he felt loved. We will have been married 3 years in Feb. The problem was, when I expected something from him, he tried but really didn't know how to emotionally engage during any conflict. He didn't know how to sacrifice at times for someone else. Drugs kept him away from his kids' growing years, and he doesn't have relationship with them. He has never had to be accountable and deal with the ups, downs of life. Drugs, shutdown, avoidance have made sure that he didn't deal. During our vacation, in which he acted out, he made a quick disconnect, used X, called escorts, and slept with another woman vacationer to have fun with. Wow, I saw him today to give him some important documents. He is so cold and angry at me. I was never perfect. Admitted my wrongdoings. Such a change in 6 weeks. He just couldn't do it. He just couldn't sacrifice for someone else and attempt to meet their needs. He's a selfish addict. They all are. He's not using now X but drinking quite a bit. I know I am better off without him. He wasn't a partner. Anything he did or gave me was about how he felt doing it. It really wasn't about pleasing me. It wasn't about what I liked. He got what he liked to give me. I was always appreciative and grateful. I pray that I can let him loose from my heart. I understand that this is a process, but after being treated so cruel, I don't want anything to do with him, but the memories, hopes linger. I have signed the divorce papers and wouldn't want marriage as is. He's a hard worker and works 80 hours a week. He is a good guy that has relapsed 2 times in our marriage, after 12 years of sobriety. I agree this last relapse was horrible and a deal breaker. His mom had to get a few things the next day and she picked up the signed divorce waiver. I texted him to please make arrangements to pick up the rest of your things, including the truck. I would like to know a few days ahead of time. He then decides to text me that he gave my $5,000 my taxes, he lived in the house, and that he would get his things on his next day off. When? And to stop being a controlling B. Wow. That was nice, especially after the voicemail a few days ago apologizing for being so mean. I didn't respond. The anger rose again. I suppose that will allow him to file. He needs the anger. My comment just wanted to show you how relationships can turn out in a few years' time. It takes years for the relationship to be stable, and fast marriages are not the way to go.